I'd like to take this opportunity to thank United States Aviation and Tulsa, Oklahoma for this cool cap and also for the excellent service you've always provided. And in this video, I'll show you how to update the databases in a Generation 2 Vision Jet. Come along with us and I'll show you how we do it.
Good morning, departure Vision Jet 379, Juliet Mike 1.5 for 3,000 and the turn to 090.
379 Juliet Mike, turn right heading 140.
Right turn 140, 9 Juliet Mike.
379 Juliet Mike, turn right heading 180.
Right turn 180, 9 Juliet Mike. Let's take off runway 19, 379 Juliet Mike.
Hey there, buddy. Hope you're doing well, and thank you so much for coming along in today's video. And in this video, I'm going to update the databases in this beautiful Generation 2 Vision Jet that I manage for a customer. I'm here in the hangar at John C. Toon in Nashville, Tennessee, and about to update the databases here. It's going to take a few minutes. Come along with me, and I'll show you how simple the process is. Just remember, this is a process that is used with the Generation 2 and 2 Plus Vision Jets. It's not used with the Generation 1 Vision Jets. Keep in mind that the Generation 2 and 2 Plus Vision Jets have the Garmin Perspective Touch Plus avionics system, whereas the G1 jets only have the Garmin Perspective Touch avionics system. There's some slight differences and nuances, so there's two different processes for updating the database, and in this video I'll show you how to update the Generation 2 and Generation 2 Plus jets. Come along with me and I'll show you how we do it.
This video is sponsored in part by SF50 Flight Support. Check out sf50flightsupport.com for more information. We make jet ownership better with comprehensive services for owners, pilots, and operators of SF50 Vision Jets. Now this is a beautiful 2021 Generation 2 Vision Jet. Here is a couple clips of the exterior and interior of the airplane for your viewing pleasure. But it's time to update the databases, and with the Generation 2 and Generation 2 Plus Vision Jet, we use a specialized process that is slightly more simplified than the process used for the Generation 1 Vision Jets. I previously provided a video where I showed you how to update the databases in a Generation 1 Vision Jet. Just a word of advice, do not follow the Generation 1 procedure when you have a Generation 2 or Generation 2 Plus Vision Jet, at least in terms of updating the databases. We want to make sure that you follow the proper procedure for the specific type of avionics that you have. In the case of the Generation 1, it has Garmin Perspective Touch avionics, and in the Generation 2 and Generation 2 Plus Vision Jets, there is the Garmin Perspective Touch Plus avionics. There are slight differences, so the process of updating databases also differs. Now, the process all starts with us logging into the Jeppesen Distribution Manager, or JDM. When we do this on the aircraft's account, we will get an indication as to which databases and charts need to be updated. Now, let's keep in mind that in the Vision Jet and other aircrafts, the charts and database updating cycles run on either 14, 28, or 56-day time intervals. So every 2 weeks, technically, there's going to be some electronic charts that need to be updated and installed in the aircraft. Likewise, every 28 days, there'll be additional databases that need to get moved into the plane. So essentially, every 2 weeks, we have something to do in terms of updating the aircraft, as well as every 28 days. The process in the Generation 2 and Generation 2 Plus Vision Jets involve what's called a supplemental card. This is a supplemental SD card that is used just to move the charts and the databases from your computer to the aircraft. So this is why the supplemental card is important, particularly in the Generation 2 and Generation 2 Plus Vision Jets, as it is not used to update the databases in the Generation 1 Vision Jets. So once we have downloaded each of the charts and databases from Jeppesen Distribution Manager, we want to click on the transfer button in Jeppesen Distribution Manager, and that will individually move those charts and or databases onto the supplemental SD card that we're going to eventually bring to the plane. Now that we've done the download and transfer process and we have all the requisite charts and databases on the supplemental database card, we'll go to the aircraft and start the process from there. One thing that is really important is that we use ground power to update the databases. Otherwise, the aircraft will have to use battery 1 during the database updating process and synchronization. And this can take several minutes and ultimately compromise the overall capacity of battery 1 for your next start. Therefore, when you do the database updates, you use ground power so that you're not using any battery capacity during that process. So now that we're at the aircraft, and pardon the glare and instability of the camera, I'm holding the camera by hand during this, and now that we're in the aircraft, we see that the aircraft has two displays. The left display is the primary flight display, and the right display is known as the multifunction display, PFD and MFD respectively. Below those are three Garmin touch controllers. These are known as GTCs. The middle of the three is known as GTC2, and we'll be manipulating GTC2 and using it to sort of surveil our updating process as it provides the data that we need as the database synchronization process continues in the aircraft. Now, before we turn on the batteries, we want to pay particular attention to the primary flight display and the multifunction display. And we want to remove the PFD card from the lower slot. And then we'll remove the data logger card from the top slot of the multifunction display on the right. And then the 510 card as well. We don't want to have any SD cards or the FlightStream 510 card installed in the SD card slots of the displays during the database updating process. Now we'll use the supplemental card and we will insert it into the upper multi-function display slot, and that's where the process begins. Now that we have the supplemental card inserted into the upper multi-function display slot, we can then turn on battery 2 and battery 1. And again, we're connected to ground power, which is providing us with at least 28 volts of power, and in this case, about 50 amps of power capacity. It will take several minutes for the avionics system to energize, but essentially we'll start to see messages on the right display or the multifunction display, as that will be an indicator of what's about to happen next. As we'll see here, we have a list of charts and database files that are recognized by the avionics system as being new, and those will eventually be moved over into each of the displays, and the status will be visible on GTC2. Now that we have GTC2 in view, we see here that it's going to take quite a while for these databases to move from the supplemental card to the internal memory of each of the displays. But as the process continues, you'll find that the time required will drastically reduce, and the overall process just takes between 3 to 5 minutes at the longest, normally. I'll take this opportunity to remind you, though, that if you're not familiar with the process from beginning to end, have somebody with you while you do it to make sure you do it properly, or contact Garmin or your aircraft manufacturer for additional local support. So as we see here, the database files have been recognized in the avionics system. In GTC2, we see an indication of cyan-colored bidirectional arrows between the left column and the right column. The left column is an indication of the databases that are in standby, and then the right column is an indication of databases and or charts that are in the active category. Now, any new charts or databases brought into the avionics will initially display in the standby column. Now, these bidirectional cyan-colored arrows are an indication that the standby database files and charts will be moved over into the active side when we turn the batteries off and conduct a ground restart. And again, keep the aircraft connected to ground power throughout this entire process. Now, when the avionics system reboots the next time, it's going to take those databases from the standby category and move them into the active category. And it is the databases and charts that are in the active category that can be used in the avionics system during flight. So I hope this video makes sense. Just remember that this process is the one we use for the Generation 2 and Generation 2 Plus Vision Jets that are using Garmin Perspective Touch Avionics. If you have a Generation 1 Vision Jet, then be sure to follow the other process, which differs in that we don't use a supplemental card for the database updates. We actually place the database files and charts on each of the display cards, the MFD 510 card and the primary flight display card. So I hope this video is helpful. If you have any questions at all, please reach out and let me know, or consult your avionics professional. If you need a checklist to follow for the Vision Jet, let me know. I can send you that as well. But in any case, I hope this process is helpful for you. Thanks so much for watching the video. Be sure to give me a thumbs up in these videos, and don't forget to share the videos. Click on the notification bell so you'll be the first to be notified when new video content is posted. I can't thank you enough for your questions, comments, and feedback. This video was a result of one of the viewers asking for this video, so I appreciate that. Until next time, safe flying, and we'll see you on the next flight.